Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Today I have another prom dress alteration tutorial for you. So we have a halter style dress here, and the straps are just a little bit too long. So we're going to be pinching from behind here, and we're going to take all that extra fabric that's there and we're going to get rid of it. This dress is heavily beaded, so if yours is too, don't worry, it's going to be no big deal. This is something you can do with or without a sewing machine, but you are going to need some basic tools. So we're going to need a measuring device of some kind. I like my seam gauge because it has that adjustable slider. We're going to need some hand sewing needles. We're going to need some thread that matches. We are going to need a seam ripper. And we're going to need some sewing pins. Each one of those items is available individually on our website, or you can get our Sewing Basics Toolkit bundle. This is our bundle of curated items that you're going to need in your sewing journey. It's heavily discounted when you get it bundled like this. You can find it at the link below. The first thing we need to do is decide how much of this extra fabric is coming out. So here's our back of our halter. It attaches with hook and eye clasps in here. You can see it comes apart. Okay, so we're going to leave that and we're going to have our model try it on. Once it's on your model, we're going to pinch behind here and we're going to see where this needs to be. So look at the front of the dress and make sure it's pulling it up to where she would like it to be. And you're going to be able to tell because you can only pull it so far. So you don't want to pull as tight as you possibly can, maybe let off just a little bit, but you'll be able to tell how much extra fabric is here. So whenever you've found and you've pinched your extra fabric up, then we can take our sewing gauge and we can measure that amount. So from the point where it's flat up to here is what we're going to measure. Okay, so it looks like mine's going to be about 3/4 of an inch. So that means 3/4 of an inch is coming off of this side, and 3/4 of an inch is coming off this side too. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is start ripping with our seam ripper. So here are the strap ends. If we flip them over, you can see the hook and eye closures. So the first thing we have to do is remove these hook and eye closures. So we're just going to find the thread that's holding those on and just pop that out with the seam ripper. Now that those are removed, what we're going to do is end up pushing the extra fabric inside of itself. So I'm not actually going to cut anything off. I'm going to push it inside of itself. So it's possible we can do this without even removing these stitches if they didn't sew all the way through the layers. If we can do it this way, it's going to be a lot easier, and it looks like we can. So I'm going to undo this. Okay, so instead of removing all these beads and all this stuff, I like my alterations to be reversible, especially for prom, because I know people like to sell their dresses or share them with their friends after the first time they wear them. So I like things to be reversible. So instead of removing all these beads and cutting the extra fabric and all that, we're just gonna push it inside and we're gonna stitch it. So first we need to measure. So here is my sewing gauge, and remember I said I was taking 3/4 of an inch. So there's the 1/2 inch marking, there's the full inch marking, there's the 3/4. So I'm going to put a pin that kind of travels the whole length of this, and that's going to be my marking, like that, at the 3/4, and I'm going to flip it over and do it again. So 3/4 right there. Now I'm going to start pushing it inside, and then these pins will make it so that you know when to stop pushing inside. So right when that pin is at the top, that's how much we need. So you can just stick your seam ripper or whatever you have around in there. And we're going to flatten this all. Like that. This is going to be really easy. So just push all the sides in so it looks like you have a nice straight shoot across. And on the other side, straight across. Perfect. Now we're just going to take one of those pins out and put it like this. And I'll take the other one out and put it like that too. Next we'll get our hand sewing needle and our thread, and we'll cut off a nice long piece of thread. And the way I like to do my hand sewing is to take both tails of the thread and put them both through the eye of the needle. Like that. The reason for this is so that you have a loop at the end of your thread that we'll use for an anchor instead of using a knot. Okay, now we're just going to take some hand stitches to secure this back down. So if you want to just do a running stitch where you go in and then back out and then in and then back up like that, that's fine. It's going to be visible on this side, which most people aren't going to care. But I'm going to show you how to make it a little more invisible of a stitch. So first we're going to take our first stitch, and I'm going to be stitching mostly on the inner folds of this. So although this is beaded, you can envision it comes around and then it goes in. So in here is the inner fold. Same thing here. There's the outer where you could see it, and then there's the inner fold in here. So I'm going to be taking most of my stitches on the inside. So I'm going to go from here to here to here to here to here to here, and I'm going to attempt for my needle not to ever come back out on the outside for the stitch to be seen. So let's take our first stitch. So I'm going to go in on the inner fold here on this beaded side, pull up just a little fabric and come through. Now pull your needle through, but don't pull it all the way through because we have that little loop from the beginning, and you're going to take your needle and stick it in that loop and then pull. So now our thread is anchored in and we didn't have to tie a knot or anything. So now we're ready to take our next stitch. So we started on the beaded side, so now I'm going to go over here to the inner fold of the lining side. So right here, and I'm just going to travel a little bit that direction. You can see it is not showing on the side that would be visible. It's on the inner fold. Okay, pull that stitch through. Okay, so now if we were to place these together and just hop right across the street, we'd be right here. So I'm going to insert there on the inner fold of the beaded side, and I'm just going to travel a little bit that direction and pull through. Done with this, so I'll take that one out. Okay, so we just came out right here. Now I'm going to hop across the street, so now I'm on the lining side, and I just want to catch that inner fold and go a little bit of a stitch that goes that direction. So there's that. Pull through. Take this out. Okay, now hop across the street from here to here, staying on the inside. Take a little stitch that goes that direction. Pull through. Okay, hop across the street from here to here. Inner fold. Little stitch. Pull through. Almost there. Okay, we're here. Hop across to the beaded side on the inner fold. Shoot across. Now we're pretty much at the end. Okay, so before we tie our knot, just make sure everything looks nice. It looks perfect. So now we'll tie a little knot. So I'm just going to take one more stitch going this way. Okay, and now to tie a knot, you'll just find any little strand that you have sewn, like this one, and insert your needle under the thread only. Pull it through, but again, don't pull it all the way through because we'll put our needle into that loop. Pull it, and that'll make a little knot. Now we'll repeat it just to make it more secure, so slip your needle under that thread, pull it, wait for the loop, put the needle in the loop, pull it, and we have a double knot. So now all that's left to do is to hide this tail. So we'll hide it inside. So just put your needle in close to where it came out, and we are putting the needle in between the two layers. So make sure you can't see your needle coming up out anywhere. Let it travel a little bit. Mine's going over here, and then just let it come out at any random location. So here it comes. So I pushed it through, I pulled it out, there's the tail, and now we can clip it close to the edge. Now we'll reattach our closures. So the hooks will go on one side and the eyes will go on the other side, and usually the hook is on the wearer's right side and the eyes on the wearer's left side. So you will take these and we're going to sew them right here. So we'll get our needle threaded again, and if your strand was long enough last time, you could actually just keep using that same piece of thread, but I'm going to rethread. Okay, now we will attach the hook. So thread up another needle and we'll place the hooks right here. So the edge of the silver should just about line up with the edge of the strap like that. So we'll have one here and we'll have one right here. And you can see they both have two little eyelets. That is what you sew through to attach it to the fabric. So I'm just going to stick a pin right here to hold this in for a second while I begin sewing it. So take your first stitch coming up through the lining fabric and through that little eyelet on the hook. So pull through, but don't pull all the way through because remember we have our little loop if you threaded both tails through the needle. And then pull that, and that's our anchor. Perfect. Okay, so we're just going to take a few stitches on this side and a few stitches over here. So just hold it down and then come up through the lining and up through that hole, like that. Oops. Your needle comes unthreaded, just re-thread it. Okay. And then we'll take a few on the other side of on the other eyelet, so just make sure it stays straight, and then come up through the lining and come up through that eyelet. Okay, once you have maybe 3 on each side and you feel it is secure, we can tie a knot. I think my thread might be long enough I can sew the other one on with this too. So I'm just going to go under into the fabric, and I'm in between the 2 layers right now so that I can just travel over to where the next one will be placed. And pull that through. Oops, I came unthreaded again. Maybe my tail's not long enough. Okay. And I'll just bring the needle up through that eyelet and lay it down where it goes. Okay, I'm going to stick a pin in this side temporarily. Okay, now same thing. It's going to come up through the lining and into that eyelet. Okay, now let's tie a knot. So again, I'm just going to slide my needle under a nearby stitch, pull through, and then stick it through the loop. And we'll do it again, slide under that same stitch, pull through, and stick it through the loop. Okay, so now we have a double knot, so we just need to hide our thread tail. So just insert the needle close to where you came out, let it travel a little distance in between the lining and the outer layer. Make sure you can't see the needle, and then allow it to come out in a random location, like right there. Pull it out, and then we can clip it off close to the edge. Perfect. So now we'll just have to shorten the other side, and then after we do that, we will attach these eyelets, or these eyes, in the same way on this side. So for the eyes, you'll have the eyelets here, and this will come this way, like that. So that is it. You now have a properly fitting halter dress. So I hope that helped you guys. If it did, please give me a like. If you tried this, or if you have anything else to say, please leave a comment. And also please subscribe to our channel. We put out a new video every week. We do a lot of alteration videos, especially prom at this time of year. We do a lot of sewing machine tutorials and other stuff like that too. So just please subscribe to our channel, and if you needed to pick up your Sewing Basics Toolkit bundle, you can do that at the link below, and you can also find us on our website and all of our products on our website, shoppindrop.com. So thank you so much again for tuning into this video. I hope you have a wonderful day, and until next time, happy sewing!